Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the starship New Seoul, watching the stars drift past the viewport. After 3 months of deep space travel, they were finally approaching the edge of known space. This was humanity's first real attempt at finding other intelligent life in the galaxy. "Captain, we're receiving some strange readings on long-range sensors," reported Lieutenant So Min from her station. "There are several large objects moving toward our position." Hyunwoo walked over to examine the data. The objects were massive, much larger than any human ship. They moved in perfect formation, like they had done this many times before. "Any response to our friendship signals?" "Nothing, sir." Complete radio silence. Dr. Yoon-ji, the mission's lead scientist, looked up from her research station. She had spent years preparing for this moment, learning everything possible about potential alien contact scenarios. "Maybe they communicate differently than we do. We should try other frequencies, maybe even light patterns." "Do it," Hyunwoo ordered. He felt excited and nervous at the same time. After centuries of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, they might finally have their answer. The bridge crew worked quickly, sending out every type of peaceful message they could think of. Mathematical sequences, pictures showing human anatomy, even recordings of Earth's music. But the alien ships kept coming closer, and they still said nothing. "Sir, they're powering up weapons," So-min announced, her voice tight with worry. Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. "Weapons, are you sure?" "Positive. Energy readings are off the charts. These aren't exploration vessels, Captain. These are warships on a..." Earth. Jiho was working the night shift at Luna Base, humanity's largest mining and research station on the moon. He loved his job as an engineer, maintaining the equipment that helped supply Earth with rare minerals. Through the observation deck, he could see Earth hanging in space like a blue marble. His sister, So Young, had sent him a message earlier from Seoul, where she worked as a civilian scientist. She was excited about some new research project and promised to visit Luna Base next month. Jiho smiled thinking about it. So Young always brought good food from Earth when she visited. The alarm started blaring without warning. "All personnel to emergency stations," the base commander's voice echoed through the corridors. "This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Jiho ran to the nearest communication terminal. The screen showed feeds from Earth's orbital defense platforms. What he saw made his blood freeze. Hundreds of massive alien ships had appeared around Earth. They were unlike anything in human design, angular, dark, and covered in weapon arrays. The ships opened fire without any warning. Earth's defense satellites tried to respond, but the alien weapons cut through them like paper. The energy beams were so powerful that they lit up the space around Earth like lightning. Jiho watched in horror as humanity's proud orbital cities exploded one by one. "No, no, no," he whispered, pressing his hands against the screen. The alien fleet moved with perfect coordination. Some ships targeted the orbital installations while others aimed their weapons at Earth itself. Bright flashes appeared on the planet's surface as major cities were hit. Jiho could see the explosions even from the moon. His hands shook as he tried to contact So Young. The communication channels were jammed with emergency signals and screaming voices. Static filled most frequencies. When he finally got through to Seoul's emergency network, all he heard was automated warnings telling people to seek shelter immediately. On Earth, So Young was in her laboratory when the building shook violently. At first, she thought it was an earthquake. Then the emergency sirens started wailing across the city. She grabbed her research tablet and ran outside with her colleagues. The sky above Seoul was burning. Massive alien ships hovered over the city like dark clouds. Their weapons fired continuous beams of energy that turned entire city blocks into glass and ash. The sound was deafening, a constant roar like thunder that never stopped. "This way," shouted Dr. Park, her supervisor. "The emergency shelters are this way." So Young followed him through streets filled with panicking people. Cars had stopped working. The alien attack was disrupting all electronics. People ran in every direction, carrying children and belongings, trying to reach safety that might not exist. An energy beam struck a skyscraper 3 blocks away. So Young watched the entire building melt like ice under a blowtorch. The heat wave hit her seconds later, hot enough to burn her skin even at this distance. They reached the emergency shelter just as another wave of attacks began. The underground bunker was crowded with hundreds of terrified civilians. Everyone was trying to contact their families, but the communication networks had collapsed. So Young managed to send one short message to Jiho on Luna Base. Soul under attack. Aliens real. I'm alive in shelter. Love you. Then the power went out. Back in space, Commander Hyunwoo and his crew watched the attack on Earth through their long-range sensors. They were too far away to help, too small to make any difference. Against the alien fleet. How many ships are attacking Earth? Hyunwoo asked quietly. At least 300, So-min replied. Maybe more. They're organized into perfect attack formations. Dr. Yoonji was crying as she watched her homeworld burn. Why are they doing this? We never threatened them. We were trying to make peaceful contact. The alien ships continued their assault for exactly 72 hours. They targeted military installations first, then major cities, then industrial centers. They worked with mechanical precision, destroying everything that represented human civilization and technology. When the attack finally stopped, Earth looked different from space. Where once bright city lights had dotted the continents, now there were only glowing craters. The orbital installations that had taken decades to build were gone, reduced to debris floating in space. The alien fleet gathered in formation above, Earth's North Pole. Then they broadcast a message on all frequencies. The voice was translated into every human language simultaneously. Inferior species, know your place. This is the fate of all who reach beyond their designated limits. Do not seek the stars again. After delivering their message, the alien ships simply left. They disappeared into deep space as quickly as they had arrived, leaving behind a broken world and over 2 billion human dead. On Luna Base, Jiho stared at the screens showing Earth's devastated surface. He had lost contact with So-young after her last message. Most of Korea's major cities had been completely destroyed. The chances that she had survived were very small. Commander Hyunwoo ordered the new soul to return to Earth immediately, but he knew they would arrive too late. The attack was over. The aliens had made their point with brutal efficiency. As rescue ships began launching from the remaining human colonies on Mars and the outer moons, one thing became clear. Humanity had just learned they were not alone in the universe. They had also learned that the galaxy was a much darker and more dangerous place than they had ever imagined. The age of human innocence was over. 7 years had passed since the alien attack that humans now called the Burning. Earth was slowly healing, but the scars ran deep. Most of the major cities remained empty ruins, and over 2 billion people were still dead. Taemin floated through the corridors of Asteroid Base Phoenix, one of dozens of hidden stations built in the years after the attack. He had been a naval officer before the aliens came, stationed on a peaceful patrol ship. Now he led something called the Echo Coalition, a network of survivors dedicated to making sure humanity would never be helpless again. "Sir, we have another report from the salvage teams," said Corporal Hana as she handed him a data pad. They found 3 more pieces of alien wreckage near Jupiter. Taemin studied the information. Every piece of alien technology was precious now. The attackers had left behind some debris when they destroyed Earth's orbital defenses. Human scientists and engineers were slowly figuring out how the alien weapons and ships worked. Good. Send it to Dr. Minho's lab immediately and tell the salvage crew to be extra careful. We can't afford to lose any more people to those alien booby traps. Dr. Minho had changed a lot since the attack. Before the aliens came, he was a peaceful researcher who studied clean energy systems. He wanted to help humanity build a better future. Now he worked 18 hours a day designing weapons that could kill aliens in the most efficient ways possible. His laboratory was hidden deep inside Asteroid Base Omega, one of the largest survivor settlements. The walls were covered with diagrams of alien ship designs and weapon systems. In the center of the room, he worked with Yoon Seo, a brilliant computer programmer who had lost her entire family when the aliens glassed the city of Busan. The power source is incredible, Minho said, pointing to a piece of alien machinery they had reconstructed from salvaged parts. They use controlled quantum reactions that we thought were impossible. But look at this. Yoon Seo leaned over his shoulder to examine the data. The control systems are actually simpler than I expected. It's like they never had to worry about safety features because nothing could challenge them. Exactly. They've been the strongest force in the galaxy for so long that they became careless. That might be their weakness. While the scientists worked on alien technology, other survivors focused on gathering intelligence. Dalsu was one of the best at this job. He had been an asteroid miner before the attack, used to working in dangerous conditions with minimal equipment. Now he led teams that searched through the wreckage of human installations, looking for alien technology and information. His current mission took him to the ruins of Luna Base, where Ji-Ho had watched Earth burn 7 years ago. The base was still partially intact, but it was dangerous to approach because alien patrol ships sometimes checked the area. "Stay low and move fast," Dalsu whispered to his team as they approached the base using small, stealthed mining ships. "We're looking for any alien tech they might have left behind, and any data from the base's sensors during the attack." Inside the abandoned base, Dalsu's team found something unexpected. The base's main computer had recorded everything during the attack, including detailed scans of the alien ships and their weapons. But more importantly, they found intercepted alien communications that the base's systems had automatically translated. "Boss, you need to see this," called out team member Kyung-ho. "The aliens were talking to each other during the attack. Our computers translated some of it." Dalsu read the translated messages with growing anger. The aliens called the attack a compliance test. They had a list of species across the galaxy that were becoming too advanced, and they regularly attacked these civilizations to keep them weak and afraid. Earth was just next on their list, Dalsu said quietly. They killed 2 billion people because we were getting too smart and too curious about space. The translated messages revealed more disturbing information. The aliens called themselves the Vorthak Empire, and they had been doing this for thousands of years. Any species that developed faster-than-light travel or advanced technology was either forced to submit to Vorthak rule or completely destroyed. Humanity had been marked for destruction the moment they launched their first deep space exploration missions. When Dalsu brought this intelligence back to the hidden bases, the reaction was explosive. The survivor communities had spent 7 years thinking the attack was random, or maybe a response to some unknown threat they had posed. Learning that it was just routine extermination made everything worse. Taemin called an emergency meeting of all the base commanders. Representatives from 37 hidden stations across the solar system gathered in a secure virtual conference. "Now, we know the truth," Taemin said, his voice hard with controlled rage. "They didn't attack us because we threatened them. They attacked us because we were successful. Because we were growing and learning and reaching for the stars." Commander Hyrene from Mars Colony spoke up. "What does this change? We're still rebuilding. We're still trying to survive." "It changes everything," replied Dr. Minho from his laboratory. "Because now we know this isn't over. They'll come back eventually to finish the job. And they've done this to countless other species." Yoon Seo had been quietly analyzing the alien communications data. "There's something else. The messages mention other species that either submitted or were destroyed, but they talk about the destroyed ones like they're still a threat somehow." "What do you mean?" asked Taemin. "Some species didn't just die when the Vorthak attacked them. Some fought back so hard that the Vorthak still talk about them with what looks like fear." There's one species they call the plague that thinks. Apparently, they turned themselves into some kind of digital virus that still attacks Vorthak systems. The meeting went quiet as everyone considered this information. Timon stood up slowly. Then we have a choice to make. We can hide in these asteroids and hope the Vorthak forget about us. Or we can make sure that humanity becomes the kind of threat they'll remember forever. What are you suggesting? Asked Dalsu. I'm suggesting we don't just survive. I'm suggesting we make them pay for every human life they took. And we make. Sure, no other species ever has to go through what Earth went through. Over the following months, the Echo Coalition transformed from a survival network into something much darker. Dr. Minho began developing weapons that used alien technology, in ways the Vorthak had never imagined. Yoon Seo created computer viruses designed specifically to attack alien systems. Dalsu's teams became assault specialists, practicing attacks on simulated alien installations. The survivors stopped calling themselves refugees and started calling themselves soldiers. Ji-ho, who had survived the attack on Luna Base, volunteered for the most dangerous missions. He had never learned if his sister So Young survived the bombing of Seoul, but he carried her memory with him as he trained to fight aliens. They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy, Ji-ho said to his team during a training exercise. Now we're going to teach them what happens when you hurt humans. The transformation was complete. Humanity had learned that the galaxy was ruled by bullies who destroyed anyone who might challenge them. But the Vorthak had made one crucial mistake. They had left enough humans alive to get angry, and angry humans, the galaxy was about to learn, were the most dangerous creatures in the universe. Captain Dong-hyun watched the Vorthak colony world through the view screen of his ship. The planet called Kethmar was home to 12 million aliens who had never heard of Earth or humanity. They were about to learn. His ship, the Vengeance, didn't look like the old human vessels. It was built from salvaged alien technology mixed with human engineering that pushed physics to its limits. The hull was black and angular, designed to be invisible to most sensors. Inside, it carried weapons that the Vorthak had never seen before. "Target confirmed, Captain," reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Jun Ki. "Population centers identified. No military installations detected. Good. They feel safe here." Dong-hyun's voice was cold. "Begin the attack." The Vengeance fired its main weapon, something Dr. Minho had called a quantum disruptor. Instead of simply destroying buildings, the weapon changed the basic structure of matter itself. The largest Vorthak city on the planet's surface began to dissolve, its buildings turning into dust that scattered in the wind. But Dong-hyun wasn't finished. His ship carried something much worse than conventional weapons. Specialist Hye-jin worked in the ship's biological warfare section. Before the attack on Earth, she had been a botanist who studied how to help plants grow in space colonies. Now, she created living weapons designed to kill specific alien species. "Release the spores," Dong-hyun ordered. Hye-jin activated her latest creation. The spores looked harmless, like tiny seeds floating through the atmosphere. But they were engineered to recognize Vorthak DNA and attack it aggressively. Any alien who breathed them would die slowly and painfully. More importantly, the spores would spread to other Vorthak worlds through trade ships and travelers. This one attack would eventually kill millions of aliens across multiple star systems. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from the planet," reported the communications officer. "They're asking for help." "Let them call," Dong-hyun replied. "I want the Vorthak Empire to hear their screams." On another Vorthak world called Vexthul, Admiral Sunho was conducting a very different kind of attack. Her fleet of 30 ships had surrounded the planet, but instead of attacking immediately, they were broadcasting messages to the population below. The messages contained recordings from Earth during the Vorthak attack. Videos of human cities burning. Audio of children crying for their parents. Images of the 2 billion dead. "Attention, Vorthak citizens. Sun Ho's voice echoed across the planet's communication networks. 12 years ago, your empire attacked our world without warning. You killed our families. You burned our cities. You told us to know our place. The alien population was terrified. They had never been attacked before. For thousands of years, the Vorthak Empire had been the strongest force in the galaxy. No one had ever dared to fight back. Now we will teach you what it feels like to be helpless, Sun Ho continued. Look to your skies. See our ships. Know that your death comes from the species you thought was inferior. But Sun Ho didn't destroy the planet immediately. Instead, her ships began a psychological campaign designed to break the aliens' minds. They would attack one city, then wait. The survivors would try to evacuate, and then another city would be destroyed. The pattern was random, unpredictable, designed to create maximum fear. Some Vorthak tried to surrender, broadcasting messages of submission and apology. Sun Ho ignored them all. Surrender had not been an option for the humans on Earth. In the hidden laboratories of the Echo Coalition, Dr. Kyung-mi was perfecting humanity's most insidious weapon. She had spent 3 years studying captured Vorthak computer systems, learning how their technology worked at the most basic level. Her creation was a computer virus unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It didn't just destroy data or shut down systems, it learned and adapted, spreading through networks like a living organism. Initial deployment is ready, Kyung-mi reported to Tai-min during their weekly briefing. Once we introduce this virus into a Vorthak fleet, it will spread to every ship they encounter, every base they visit, every planet in their network. What will it do? Asked Tai-min. It will make their own weapons turn against them. Their ships will attack each other. Their defense systems will target their own cities. And every time they try to fix it, the virus will learn from their efforts and become stronger. Tai-min smiled grimly. Deploy it. The virus was first introduced during an attack on a Vorthak patrol fleet near the edge of their territory. Commander Jin Su's ship made a seemingly failed attack run, allowing itself to be captured. But before the aliens could board the human vessel, it exploded, spreading microscopic data carriers throughout the enemy fleet. Within hours, the Vorthak ships began behaving strangely. Their weapons systems started targeting random objects. Their navigation computers began plotting courses into asteroid fields. Their communication arrays started broadcasting old human music from Earth. When the confused Vorthak fleet returned to their base for repairs, the virus spread to the station's computers. From there, it infected every ship that docked, every system that connected, every network that exchanged data. Within weeks, entire Vorthak sectors were experiencing system failures. Their own automated defense networks turned against them. Orbital platforms fired on the planets they were supposed to protect. Military bases self-destructed without warning. The Vorthak leadership realized they were facing an enemy unlike anything in their experience. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were using the Vorthak's own technology against them in ways that seemed impossible. Emperor Vorthak himself called an emergency council meeting. The massive alien ruler had overseen the destruction of hundreds of species, but none had ever posed a real threat to his empire. How many worlds have we lost to these humans? He demanded. 17 colonies completely destroyed, reported his military advisor. 43 more experiencing severe system failures. The virus is spreading faster than we can contain it. And their battle tactics? Unlike anything we've encountered, Emperor, they don't follow any recognizable rules of war. They target civilian populations. They use biological weapons. They employ psychological warfare designed to cause maximum suffering. The Emperor's multiple eyes narrowed with anger and confusion. Every species we've encountered has followed predictable patterns. They build defensive fleets. They try to negotiate. They eventually submit or die fighting conventionally. Humans do none of these things. Another advisor spoke up nervously. Emperor, Some of our intelligence reports suggest that the humans have been studying our previous conquests. They know how we fight, and they're deliberately doing everything differently. They're learning from the species we've destroyed. The Emperor realized. They're using our own history against us. Back in human space, the Echo Coalition was receiving reports of their successes. But Taemin wasn't satisfied. The attacks were working, but they weren't enough. "We need to escalate," he announced to his commanders. "The Vorthak Empire is vast. They can absorb these losses and adapt. We need to make them understand that there is no adaptation, no defense, no escape from human revenge." Yajin had been working on something new. "I've developed a biological agent that doesn't just kill Vorthak. It transforms their worlds. Any planet we deploy it on will become uninhabitable to any alien life, but perfectly suited for humans." "We're not just destroying their empire," added Dr. Kyung-mi. "We're making it impossible for them to rebuild. Every world they lose becomes a human world. Every system they abandon becomes human territory." The other species in the galaxy watched in growing terror as humanity demonstrated that they didn't fight like a normal civilization. They fought like a plague, spreading through Vorthak space, consuming everything in their path, leaving behind transformed worlds where only humans could live. The whispers started in alien trade networks and diplomatic channels. A new word spread through galactic civilization: human. It became synonymous with unstoppable vengeance, with technological adaptation, with the kind of warfare that didn't just defeat enemies, but erased them completely from existence. The Vorthak Empire was learning what Earth had learned 12 years earlier, that the galaxy was more dangerous than anyone had imagined. But this time, the danger had a human face. Emperor Vorthak stood in his throne room, looking at the holographic display that showed the remains of his empire. Red marks indicated destroyed worlds. Yellow showed systems under attack. Blue represented the few remaining safe territories. And there weren't many blue marks left. 40% of our territory is gone, reported General Kextor, the Emperor's chief military advisor. The humans have destroyed or captured over 300 worlds in the past 2 years. The Emperor's forearms trembled with rage and fear. In 5,000 years of ruling the galaxy's most powerful empire, he had never faced an enemy like humanity. Every strategy that had worked against other species failed completely against the humans. "What about the coalition forces?" the Emperor asked. 17 other species have agreed to join us against the humans. They're sending their fleets to reinforce our remaining strongholds." The Emperor nodded. Surely the combined might of 18 different civilizations would be enough to stop these impossible humans. "When will they arrive?" "Most fleets are already in position around our key worlds, Emperor. We have over 10,000 ships ready for battle." But even as they spoke, humanity was preparing something the galaxy had never seen before. Fleet Admiral Boram commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled, but her ships were unlike anything the aliens could imagine. The human vessels could phase between dimensions, appearing and disappearing at will. Their weapons manipulated time itself, causing enemy ships to age decades in seconds. Their AI systems thought faster than any biological brain, processing battle data and adapting strategies in real time. "Target confirmed," Boram announced from the bridge of her flagship, the Earth's Wrath. "Vorthak Prime, homeworld of the Empire that burned our planet." Around her, dozens of other ship commanders waited for orders. These weren't the desperate survivors who had hidden in asteroids 15 years ago. These were hardened warriors who had spent a decade perfecting the art of alien destruction. "Admiral, we're detecting massive defensive fleets around the planet," reported Captain Mi Young from the Soul's Revenge. "At least 2,000 enemy ships, including vessels from multiple species." "Good," Boram replied calmly. "I was hoping they would all gather in one place." Commander Jin Woo led the Sorrow units, humanity's most feared special forces. These soldiers were no longer entirely human. They had been enhanced with alien biotechnology, their bodies modified to survive in any environment, their minds trained to spread despair among their enemies. Jin Woo's team infiltrated Vorthak Prime weeks before the main attack. They didn't plant bombs or sabotage equipment. Instead, they did something much more psychological. They began appearing in alien homes and workplaces, just standing there, watching. The Sorrow units never attacked these civilians directly. They just observed, their modified human faces showing no emotion, their presence a constant reminder that nowhere was safe. The psychological effect was devastating. Vorthak citizens began reporting nightmares about silent humans watching them sleep. Workers refused to go to their jobs because humans had been seen in the buildings. Parents kept their children indoors because humans might be lurking in the streets. "The population is breaking down," Jin Woo reported to Bo Ram. "They're terrified of us, and we haven't even started the real attack yet." When Bo Ram's fleet finally arrived at Vorthak Prime, the combined alien forces moved to intercept them. It was the largest space battle in galactic history, with over 12,000 ships engaged in combat. But the aliens quickly realized they were fighting an enemy that didn't follow normal rules of warfare. Human ships phased in and out of normal space, making them impossible to target consistently. When alien weapons did hit them, the human vessels seemed to absorb the damage and become stronger. "Their technology is adapting to our weapons in real time," reported Admiral Thexvar of the Zenthari fleet. "Every shot we fire teaches their systems how to defend against the next one." The battle lasted for 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human ships systematically destroyed the alien fleets while taking minimal losses themselves. The combined might of 18 species proved no match for human ingenuity and rage. But Bo Ram had not come to Vorthak Prime just to win a battle. She had come to deliver justice for Earth. As the last enemy ships were destroyed or fled, the human fleet surrounded Vorthak Prime. The planet's population of 8 billion aliens waited in terror for the bombardment that would end their civilization. Instead, something much worse happened. Bo Ram activated a device that Dr. Minho had spent years perfecting. It created a temporal field around the entire planet, trapping every living being in a loop of time that repeated the same 72 hours over and over again. But these weren't just any 72 hours. The humans had carefully chosen the exact period when Earth had been attacked 15 years ago. Every Vorthak on the planet began experiencing the destruction of Earth from the perspective of human victims. They felt the terror of seeing alien ships appear in their skies. They experienced the pain of watching their cities burn. They lived through the agony of losing their families to unprovoked alien violence. And when the 72 hours ended, the loop started again. "You wanted to teach us our place," Bo Ram broadcast to the trapped planet. "Now you will spend eternity learning what it feels like to be us." The temporal field was designed to last forever. Every Vorthak on the planet would experience the destruction of Earth billions of times, feeling every human death as if it were their own family dying. But the cruelest part was that they retained their memories of each loop. After the first 100 repetitions, they knew exactly what was coming. After the first 1,000, they were begging for death. After the first 1,000,000, they understood the magnitude of what their empire had done to innocent species across the galaxy. General Yu Jin, the last surviving member of Earth's original military command, stood with Bo Ram on the bridge as they watched Vorthak Prime trapped in its eternal punishment. "Is this justice?" Yu Jin asked quietly. "Justice would be bringing back our dead," Bo Ram replied. "This is something else. This is making sure they understand the weight of every life they took." Across the galaxy, other alien civilizations watched in horror as humanity demonstrated the fate that awaited any species that attacked innocent worlds. The humans had not just defeated the Vorthak Empire. They had created an eternal monument to the consequences of unprovoked aggression. The remaining Vorthak colonies surrendered immediately, but surrender was not enough for humanity. Every Vorthak world was subjected to the same biological transformation that made them uninhabitable to aliens, but perfect for humans. The Vorthak Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 5,000 years, ceased to exist in less than a decade. Their worlds became human colonies. Their technology became human weapons. Their history became a warning about what happened to species that attacked Earth. Other alien civilizations sent desperate messages to humanity, promising eternal peace, offering tribute, begging to be left alone. Some humans wanted to accept these offers and focus on rebuilding. But General Yu Jin had other ideas. The Vorthak weren't the only species that attacked peaceful worlds, she announced to the human leadership. Our intelligence shows that dozens of other empires have destroyed smaller civilizations. They're all guilty of the same sins. The decision was unanimous. Earth had been attacked first, but it would not be the last world to receive justice. The Bao galaxy was about to learn that humanity's campaign of vengeance was just beginning. President Sang-min walked through the gardens of New Terra, the planet that had once been called Vorthak Prime. Where alien cities had stood 45 years ago, human settlements now thrived under carefully controlled skies. The temporal field had been shut down decades earlier, but the planet remained transformed, a monument to human justice built on the bones of the empire that had attacked Earth. The gardens were peaceful now, filled with flowers from Earth that had been genetically modified to grow in alien soil. Children played among trees that had been planted where the Vorthak Emperor's palace once stood. It was a quiet place, but Sang-min knew that this peace had been bought with the blood of countless alien civilizations. Mr. President, the Galactic Council representatives are waiting in the conference room, his aide, Minister Jun-ho, informed him. Sang-min nodded. The Galactic Council was humanity's creation, established after they had finished their campaign of justice against every aggressive species in known space. It wasn't a democracy. It was a system where humanity made the rules, and other species followed them or faced extinction. The conference room was filled with alien ambassadors from the surviving civilizations. They came from dozens of different worlds, but they all shared the same look of carefully controlled fear when humans were present. "Thank you all for coming," Sang-min said as he took his seat at the head of the table. "I trust your worlds are maintaining the peace agreements?" Ambassador Veltar of the Catherian Republic spoke first. Her species had once been aggressive conquerors like the Vorthak, but they had surrendered quickly when humanity turned its attention to them. "Yes, President Sang-min. We have had no conflicts with neighboring species for 30 years. Trade disputes are resolved peacefully through the Council's mediation system." "Excellent. And the tribute payments?" "All species are current on their contributions to the Memorial Fund," reported Ambassador Zephron of the Andorian Federation. "The resources are being used to expand the museum complexes on the former Vorthak worlds." Sang-min smiled, but it wasn't a warm expression. The Memorial Fund was humanity's way of ensuring that every species in the galaxy contributed to maintaining the monuments to human suffering. Every alien civilization sent resources, technology, and personnel to preserve the records of what happened to species that attacked peaceful worlds. After the meeting, Sang-min traveled to the Memorial Archives, the massive complex built on the site where the Vorthak capital had once stood. Dr. Hei-wan met him at the entrance. She was elderly now, one of the few survivors who remembered Earth before the attack. "How is the Consciousness Preservation Project proceeding?" Sang-min asked as they walked through halls lined with quantum storage units. "We now have complete neural patterns for over 1.8 billion of the victims from the original attack," Hei-wan replied. "Their digital consciousness serve as advisors for our government and witnesses for our history." The consciousness preservation technology had been developed using captured alien equipment. Every human who had died during the Vorthak attack had been reconstructed as a digital entity, their memories and personalities preserved forever in quantum storage systems. They stopped at one of the consultation chambers where living humans could speak with the digital ghosts of the dead. Sang-Min activated the system and requested a conference with the consciousness of Ji-Ho, who had died defending Luna Base during the final Vorthak counterattack 30 years ago. Ji-Ho's image appeared in the holographic projector, looking exactly as he had on the day he died. "Hello, Mr. President. I trust the galaxy remains peaceful." "Yes, thanks to the sacrifices you and others made," Sang-Min replied. "But I wanted to ask your opinion about the Outer Rim situation. Some of the newer species are beginning to develop faster-than-light technology. The digital Ji-Ho considered this carefully. What does our intelligence suggest about their intentions? They appear to be focused on exploration and trade, not conquest. But you know how quickly that can change." "Indeed. The Vorthak seemed peaceful too, until they decided we were growing too strong." Ji-Ho paused, accessing vast databases of information in seconds. "I recommend monitoring them closely, but no preemptive action unless they show clear aggressive intent. We must be better than the Vorthak were." This was the constant balance humanity faced. They had become the galaxy's dominant power through superior technology and ruthless tactics, but they tried not to become the same kind of oppressors that the Vorthak had been. Ambassador Wu Jin was humanity's representative to the outer galaxy, traveling between systems to meet with new civilizations as they developed space travel. His job was to explain the rules of the new galactic order before species made mistakes that would cost them everything. On the world of Nexus 7th, he met with the leaders of a species that had just achieved interstellar flight. The aliens, who called themselves the Korathi, were eager to explore the galaxy and make contact with other civilizations. "We are honored to meet representatives of the famous human species," said Prime Minister Velkan of the Korathi government. "We have heard many stories about your people's achievements." Wu Jin sat across from the alien delegation in their modest conference chamber. "I'm here to help you understand the current galactic situation. The stories you've heard are probably true, but they may not include all the context." He activated a holographic display showing the current map of known space. Most of it was marked with human symbols or the flags of human-aligned governments. 50 years ago, there was a great war," Wu Jin began. "My people were attacked without warning by an empire that had been destroying peaceful species for thousands of years. We fought back and won, but the cost was enormous." The Korathi leaders listened with growing understanding as Wu Jin explained the rules that now governed galactic civilization. No species was allowed to attack another without clear justification. All conflicts had to be resolved through the Galactic Council. Advanced weapons technology could only be developed under human supervision. "What if we refuse these restrictions?" asked General Mordock of the Korathi military. Wu Jin's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. "Then you would join the Vorthak Empire in the Memorial Archives. Your worlds would become human, colonies, and your people would be remembered only as a cautionary tale." The alien leaders exchanged nervous glances. They had heard rumors about what happened to aggressive species, but hearing it confirmed by a human diplomat was terrifying. However, Wu Jin continued, his tone becoming warmer, "Species that follow the peace accords prosper. You'll have access to advanced technology, protected trade routes, and the security of knowing that no one will attack your worlds without facing humanity's response." After the meeting, Prime Minister Velkan asked a question that had been troubling his people. "Ambassador, do humans ever plan to step back from governing the galaxy? Will other species ever be allowed to rule themselves again?" Wu Jin looked out the window at the Korathi city, thinking about the billions of human dead who had been murdered simply for reaching toward the stars. "My people learned that the galaxy is a dangerous place," he said quietly. "For thousands of years, The strong preyed on the weak and peaceful species were destroyed by those who saw them as threats. We ended that cycle through force. He turned back to face the alien leader. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy, Prime Minister. We just want to make sure that what happened to Earth never happens to anyone else. When we're confident that aggressive species can never again threaten peaceful ones, perhaps the galaxy will be ready for self-governance again. Years passed. Junseo, a young human born long after the war, visited Earth's restored memorial sites as part of his education. The planet had been rebuilt, its cities restored, its scars healed. But the memorial complexes remained exactly as they had been on the day of the attack. In the Soul Memorial, he walked through holographic recreations of the alien bombardment. He watched as digital recreations of his ancestors ran through burning streets, seeking shelter that would never come. He heard the final messages that people had sent to their families before the alien weapons silenced them forever. "Do you understand why we did what we did?" asked the consciousness of So Young, Jiho's sister, who had survived the initial attack but died in the reconstruction efforts. Junseo nodded slowly. "You made sure it could never happen again." "Not just to humans," So Young corrected. "To anyone. The galaxy is peaceful now because every species knows the price of unprovoked aggression. They've seen what happens to civilizations that attack innocent worlds." As Junseo left the memorial, he thought about the responsibility his generation had inherited. They were the guardians of a peace built on the memory of unimaginable suffering. They carried the burden of ensuring that the echo of those ancient sins continued to reverberate across the stars. The galaxy was quiet now, not because its people were happy, but because they were afraid. Every species knew the story of Earth, and every leader understood that attacking peaceful worlds would bring consequences beyond imagination. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through love or diplomacy. They had conquered it through fear and superior force. But in doing so,